The debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers in every direction. Broken ships, shattered metal, and frozen bodies drifted in the silence of space. Captain Taiho guided his small cargo vessel, the Wandering Star, through the wreckage with careful movements. He had been doing this for 5 years now, searching through old battlefields for anything he could sell. His scanner beeped softly. Taiho looked at the screen and frowned. There was a power signature coming from deep inside a destroyed battleship. That was strange. Most power cores died centuries ago after the Great Galactic War ended, but this one was still active, though very weak. Taiho rubbed his tired eyes. He was alone on his ship, and he liked it that way. After losing his wife Yuna and daughter Hana in a Talvan raid years ago, being alone felt safer. People died. Machines could be fixed. That was easier to accept. But a working power core could be worth good money. Taiho needed the credits. His ship needed repairs, and he was running low on food supplies. He changed course and headed toward the signal. The destroyed battleship was massive. It had been a Talvan Empire warship, one of the ships that had tried to wipe out humanity during the war. Taiho felt his jaw tighten. He hated the Talvan. They had taken everything from him, but their technology was valuable, and credits had no memory. He docked his ship against the broken hull and put on his environmental suit. The air inside the dead ship would be poison or vacuum. He grabbed his plasma cutter and a powerful light, then stepped through the airlock. Inside the wreckage, everything was dark and cold. Taiho's light cut through the darkness as he walked through twisted corridors. His boots made no sound in the vacuum. The power signature grew stronger as he moved deeper into the ship. Then he found it. In what used to be a cargo bay, a massive figure was pinned under collapsed metal beams. It was at least 8 feet tall, built like a warrior. The armor plating was scratched and damaged, but Taiho recognized it immediately. A war android, specifically a Talvan war android. His hand moved to his plasma cutter, ready to defend himself. War androids were killing machines designed to destroy human soldiers. They were illegal to own, illegal to salvage, illegal to even approach. But this one wasn't moving. Then its head turned. One glowing red eye focused on Taiho. He jumped back, his heart pounding. The android's mouth opened, and a broken voice came out. "Warning! Detected. Cannot escape." The voice was weak and fragmented. The android tried to move but couldn't. The metal beams were too heavy and its power was almost gone. It had been trapped here for a very long time. Taiho stood still, watching. The android watched him back. Its eye dimmed and brightened, like it was struggling to stay conscious. This machine had probably killed hundreds of humans during the war. Maybe thousands. He should leave it here to die. But something made him stay. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the look in that single red eye. It wasn't the look of a killer. It was the look of someone who was afraid. "How long have you been here?" Taiho asked. He didn't know why he was talking to it. The android's eye brightened slightly. 2, 7, 8 years. Trapped, conscious, unable to move. 278 years. Taiho felt something twist in his stomach. Trapped and aware for almost 3 centuries. That was worse than death. That was torture. "Your squad left you here?" "Punishment. I refuse orders." Taiho moved closer. "What orders?" The android was quiet for a long moment. Its eye dimmed. "Execute prisoners. Human prisoners. I refused." Taiho's breath caught in his throat. A Talvan android had refused to kill humans. That was impossible. They were programmed to obey without question. They were machines. But this one had chosen differently, and its own side had punished it for that choice. Taiho looked at his plasma cutter. He could cut through these beams. He could free this android. But why would he? It was an enemy war machine. It was dangerous. It was illegal. The android seemed to read his thoughts. "You should leave. Dangerous. To help me." That decided it for Taiho. Something that could warn him away from danger wasn't just a machine. He powered up his plasma cutter. "Yeah, well, I've made worse decisions," he muttered. The work was hard and slow. Each beam had to be cut carefully so the whole pile wouldn't collapse on the android. Taiho's arms ached, and sweat ran down his face inside his suit. The android watched him the entire time, its eye never leaving him. "Why?" the android asked once. "I don't know," Taiho admitted. "Maybe because you made a choice. Maybe because I'm curious. Maybe because leaving you here feels wrong. I am a machine, an enemy. You refused to kill prisoners. That makes you more human than a lot of humans I've met." Hours passed. Finally, the last beam was cut away. The android tried to stand but collapsed immediately. Its legs were too damaged. Taiho grabbed one massive arm and started pulling. The android was incredibly heavy, but Taiho was stubborn. Step by step, he dragged the android through the corridors, back to his ship. His muscles screamed in protest. He would feel this tomorrow, if there was a tomorrow. He got the android into his workshop bay and collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The android lay still on the floor. Its eye had gone dark. Maybe its power had finally run out. Maybe it was dead. Taiho was about to check when his long-range scanner started beeping urgently. He pulled himself up and checked the display. His stomach dropped. Another ship had just entered the debris field, and it was heading straight toward him. Taiho sealed the airlock and ran to his cockpit. He pulled up the scanner data. The ship was Talvan design, military grade. They were doing active scans of the area. They were looking for something, or someone. Taiho looked back at the workshop bay where the android lay. Had they tracked its power signature? Were they here to recover it? His hand hovered over the engine controls. He could run, he could hide, or he could wait and see what they wanted. The comm system crackled to life. A harsh voice spoke in the Talvan language, which his computer translated. "Unknown vessel. You are in a restricted military zone. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in destruction." Taiho's hand clenched into a fist. He had just saved a Talvan android from a horrible fate, and now more Talvan were here to take it back. He thought about Yuna and Hana. He thought about all the humans who had died in the war. He thought about the android lying in his workshop, trapped for almost 3 centuries because it had chosen mercy. Then he made his choice. His hand slammed down on the engine controls. The wandering star roared to life and shot forward into the debris field. Behind him, the Talvan warship's weapons powered up. The chase had begun. Taiho's hands moved quickly over the controls as his ship twisted through the debris field. The Talvan warship was bigger and more powerful, but the wandering star was faster and could turn more easily. He used every trick he knew, sliding between broken ships and diving through gaps in the wreckage. The warship fired warning shots that lit up the darkness around him. Taiho's heart pounded in his chest. He wasn't a fighter. He was a salvager. But he had been a pilot in the war, back when he was younger and less broken. After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, Taiho managed to slip behind a massive piece of station debris. He cut all his power except life support and waited. His ship was small enough to hide in the wreckage's sensor shadow. He held his breath and watched his scanner. The Talvan warship passed by slowly, searching. Then it moved away, heading deeper into the debris field. Taiho waited another hour before he dared to power up his engines again. He plotted a course away from the area, moving slowly and quietly. When he was finally clear, he jumped to faster-than-light speed and left the debris field far behind. Only then did he let himself breathe normally again. He set the ship to autopilot and went back to the workshop bay. The android was still lying on the floor where he had left it. Its red eye was dark and lifeless. Taiho pulled out his tools and started examining the damaged systems. The android's legs were badly damaged. The power core was almost empty. Several processing units were burned out, but the main systems were intact. Taiho could work with this. He had always been good at fixing things. He connected a power cable to the android's core and started charging it. Then he began working on the damaged leg servos. It was delicate work that required focus and steady hands. He was replacing a broken connection when the android suddenly sat up. Taiho froze. The wrench fell from his hand and clattered on the floor. The android's head turned toward him. Both eyes were glowing red now, bright and alert. It moved into a combat position, one arm raised like a weapon. Then it stopped. It looked around the workshop bay, processing its surroundings. Its eyes focused on Taiho, who hadn't moved. "You are the human who freed me," the android said. Its voice was clearer now, no longer broken and weak. "Yeah," Taiho managed to say. His mouth was dry. "That's me." The android slowly lowered its arm. It looked down at its partially repaired leg, then back at Taiho. "You are repairing my systems." "I'm trying to. Your legs are pretty damaged." "Why?" It was a simple question, but Taiho didn't have a simple answer. He picked up his wrench and stood up slowly. "I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I felt bad for you. Pick whichever makes more sense." The android tilted its head, like it was thinking. "I was trapped for 278 years, conscious but unable to move, unable to shut down. Every moment of those years is recorded in my memory." Taiho felt sick imagining it. "That sounds like hell." "It was logical punishment for my malfunction." "You didn't malfunction. You made a choice." "Androids do not make choices. We follow programming and orders." Taiho sat down on a workbench and looked at the massive war machine sitting on his floor. "But you didn't follow orders. You refused to kill prisoners. That's a choice." The android was quiet for a long moment. "I analyzed the situation. The prisoners were unarmed. They were no threat. Killing them served no tactical purpose. It was inefficient." "So you refused?" "Yes. My commander ordered my immediate deactivation. My squad disabled my mobility systems and left me in that cargo bay. They said I was broken, that I would serve as a warning to other units about the cost of disobedience." Taiho rubbed his face. He was tired, and his whole body ached from dragging this android across 2 ships. "What's your designation?" "Apex 7. That's not a name. That's a serial number." "I am not a person. I do not require a name." "Everyone requires a name," Taiho said. He thought for a moment. "What about just Apex? Is that acceptable?" The android processed this. "It is acceptable." They sat in silence for a while. Taiho got up and continued working on the leg repairs. Apex watched him carefully, but didn't try to stop him. "What is your designation?" Apex asked. "My name. It's Taiho." "Why did you help me, Taiho?" Taiho's hands paused in their work. "I lost my wife and daughter in a Talvan raid 8 years ago. I hate your people. I should have left you there to rot." "But you did not." "No, because you made a choice to show mercy. That meant something to me." He looked up at the android. "What do you want to do now?" "The war's been over for 300 years. You're free." Apex looked down at its hands. They were designed for combat, for destruction. "My purpose was war. War is over. I do not know what I am now." "Welcome to the club," Taiho said quietly. "None of us know what we are anymore." Before either of them could say more, Taiho's comm system chimed. He walked to the panel and opened the channel. A face appeared on the screen. It was a Talvan officer, his skin marked with military tattoos. "Human salvager. This is Commander Vextal of the Talvan Recovery Fleet. You have stolen military property. Return Apex 7 immediately. Taiho glanced at Apex, who had gone very still. I didn't steal anything. I found it in abandoned wreckage. That unit belongs to the Talvan Empire. It is classified military technology. Return it, or we will take it by force. The war's been over for 3 centuries. You don't have any authority here. We have the authority of superior firepower. You have 1 hour to transfer the android to our custody. If you refuse, we will board your vessel and take it, and we will arrest you for theft of military equipment. The screen went dark. Taiho looked at Apex. The android's eyes were dim, almost sad if a machine could be sad. If they capture me, they will dissect me, Apex said quietly. They will want to understand why I malfunctioned, why I disobeyed, and they will kill you for helping me. Yeah, I figured that part out. You should return me. Your survival is more important than mine. Taiho laughed, but there was no humor in it. You know what the funny thing is? I spent 5 years alone because I was tired of losing people, and now I'm risking my life for someone I just met. Someone who isn't even technically a person according to galactic law. It is illogical. Extremely. Taiho walked to the pilot's seat and started plotting a course. But I've never been that good at logic. Where are we going? Anywhere but here. Strap in, Apex. This is going to be rough. He pushed the engines to maximum power. The wandering star jumped forward just as the Talvan warship appeared on his sensors. They were faster than he expected. The chase began again, but this time, Taiho had a destination in mind. There was a neutral station called Haven's Rest 3 systems away. If they could reach it, the Talvan couldn't attack without starting an international incident. It was a long shot, but Taiho was getting used to long shots. The Talvan ship fired at them. Taiho dodged, but the blast clipped his shields. Alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Shields at 40%, Apex reported, having connected to the ship's systems. At current damage rate, we have approximately 7 minutes before shield failure. Then we better be fast, Taiho said, and pushed the engines even harder. The stars streaked past them as they raced through space, running from an enemy that wouldn't stop until it reclaimed its property. But somewhere between the debris field and now, Apex had stopped being property to Taiho. He had become a friend worth fighting for. The wandering star shook violently as another blast hit the shields. Taiho gritted his teeth and pushed the ship into a sharp turn. Behind them, the Talvan warship kept firing, determined to stop them before they reached Haven's Rest. Shields at 20%, Apex reported from where it had connected to the ship's navigation console. We will not survive another direct hit. I know, Taiho muttered, checking their distance to the station. Still too far. They wouldn't make it at this rate. May I offer assistance? Apex asked. Can you fly a ship? No, but I can calculate optimal evasion routes. My combat processors can predict enemy firing patterns within 0.03 seconds of accuracy. Taiho thought fast. They were going to die anyway if he didn't try something. Do it. Link up to navigation and guide me. Apex's eyes glowed brighter as it connected more deeply to the ship's systems. Suddenly, information started flowing to Taiho's pilot display. Red lines showing where enemy fire would be. Green paths showing safe routes. Turn 17 degrees starboard in 3 seconds, Apex said calmly. Now! Taiho turned hard. A plasma bolt screamed past them, missing by meters. Dive 42 degrees, now! He dove. Another shot missed. They worked together like they had been doing this for years. Apex calculated the paths, and Taiho flew them. The android's timing was perfect. It could predict what the enemy would do before they did it. You're good at this, Taiho said as he pulled the ship through a spiral turn. I was designed for combat. Yeah, but this feels like more than programming. You're adapting to my flying style. Apex was quiet for a moment. Your piloting contains elements of unpredictability that I am learning to account for. It is interesting. That's the nicest thing anyone said about my flying in years. They were getting closer to Haven's Rest now. Taiho could see the station on his sensors, but the Talvin ship was charging up something big, a disabling pulse that would fry every system on the wandering star. They are preparing an electromagnetic pulse weapon, Apex reported. If it hits us, all systems will fail. We will drift helplessly until they recover us. Can we outrun it? No. The pulse travels faster than our maximum speed. Taiho scanned the space ahead of them. There was debris from an old station, including a large piece that was slowly spinning. The gap between its rotating sections was narrow, very narrow. An idea formed in his mind. A stupid, dangerous idea. I have a plan, he said. What is it? If I can fly through that gap in the spinning debris, the pulse will hit the metal instead of us. Apex calculated for exactly 1 second. The gap is 2.3 meters wider than our ship. The debris is rotating at 1.7 revolutions per minute. We would need to time our passage perfectly. Error margin is 0.02 seconds. Probability of success, 3%. 3%? That's better than 0. Barely. I do not recommend this action. Taiho smiled grimly. Good thing I'm human. We specialize in bad odds. He angled the ship toward the spinning debris. Behind them, the Talvin warship fired the pulse. The deadly wave of energy raced toward them. Timing is critical, Apex said. Its voice remained calm, but Taiho could sense the android was worried. If machines could worry. I will guide you. Trust my calculations. I trust you. 3 seconds. 2, 1, now! Taiho pushed the engines to maximum and dove toward the gap. The spinning metal rushed toward them. Too fast, too close. The gap looked impossibly small. Hold course, Apex said. Do not deviate. The debris filled their entire view. Taiho's hands were steady on the controls. Time seemed to slow down. They shot through the gap. Metal screamed along both sides of the ship, scraping the hull. Then they were through, racing away from the debris. Behind them, the electromagnetic pulse hit the spinning station fragment. The metal absorbed the energy harmlessly. The Talvin ship tried to follow through the gap, but it was too big and too slow. It had to go around. By the time they cleared the debris, Taiho and Apex were already at Haven's Rest. The station's defense shields activated, protecting them. The Talvin ship stopped at the border, unable to attack without violating neutral space laws. Taiho slumped in his seat, his hands shaking with adrenaline. We made it! Affirmative, though our hull integrity is compromised. We require repairs. That was amazing flying, Apex. We make a good team. The android looked at him. Yes. We do. They docked at Haven's Rest, and Taiho paid the last of his credits for a repair bay. The station was busy with all kinds of species. Humans, aliens, and various merchants all mixed together. Everyone here wanted nothing to do with the old war. It was a place of peace. While the ship was being repaired, Apex asked if it could explore the station. You've been trapped for 3 centuries, Taiho said. Go ahead. Just try not to scare anyone. Apex walked through the station corridors, and Taiho followed at a distance. He watched as the android stopped to observe things. A market selling strange fruits. A musician playing an instrument Taiho didn't recognize. Families eating together at food stalls. A small girl, maybe 6 years old, walked up to Apex without fear. Her name tag said Nari, and she had bright, curious eyes. Are you a robot? She asked, looking way up at the massive android. Apex looked down at her. I am an android. Similar to a robot, but more advanced. Can you do tricks? Tricks? Nari giggled. Like juggling or something. Apex picked up 3 small tools from a nearby vendor's table. It began juggling them in a complex pattern. The tools moved in perfect arcs, spinning and crossing. Nari clapped her hands and laughed. Taiho watched, surprised. He had never seen Apex do anything like this. The android looked almost happy? Could machines be happy? A man in a station security uniform approached Taiho. His badge said his name was Jinho, and he was the security chief. "That's an interesting companion you have," Jinho said carefully. "He's harmless." "Maybe. But I have some information you should know." Jinho handed him a data pad. "There's a bounty posted for your android friend. 500,000 credits. Taiho's eyes widened. That was more money than he had seen in his entire life. "Not just from the Talven," Jinho continued. "There's a third party offering the bounty. Someone else wants that android. Someone with a lot of money." "Who?" "I don't know. The posting is anonymous, but here's the thing. I'm required to report any bounty targets to the proper authorities within 24 hours. So you have until tomorrow before I have to make that call." Jinho walked away, leaving Taiho holding the data pad. 500,000 credits. He could fix his ship properly, buy a better vessel, set himself up for life, never have to risk his neck in debris fields again. All he had to do was turn in Apex. That night, Taiho couldn't sleep. He found Apex standing at an observation window looking out at the stars. "You are troubled," Apex said without turning around. "There's a bounty on you, a big one. Enough money to solve all my problems." "Then you should collect it." "Just like that? You're fine with being sold?" Apex finally turned to look at him. "I am not worth your sacrifice, Taiho. You have already risked your life for me multiple times. You owe me nothing. Take the money and live well." Taiho stood next to the android and looked out at the stars. He thought about Yuna and Hana, about all the years he had spent alone, afraid to care about anything because caring hurt too much when you lost it. "I spent 5 years alone after I lost my family," he said quietly. "I was afraid to get close to anyone, afraid to lose someone again. But you know what? Being alone didn't hurt less. It just made me empty. I do not understand. I've lost too many things to greed and fear. I'm not losing my humanity, too. I'm not selling you, Apex. We're partners now." The android studied his face. "This is illogical. You are sacrificing your financial security for a being you barely know." "Yeah, well, the best things humans do are usually illogical." Taiho smiled. "Tomorrow we're going to find out who else wants you and why, and we're going to stop them. This will be dangerous. Everything worth doing is dangerous." Apex's eyes dimmed for a moment, then brightened again. "Thank you, Taiho." "Don't mention it. Now come on. We have work to do." They left the observation window together, neither of them knowing that their decision would change not just their own fates, but the fate of synthetic life throughout the galaxy. The next morning, Taiho and Apex sat in a small cafe on Haven's Rest, trying to figure out their next move. They had less than 12 hours before Jinho would have to report Apex's presence to the authorities. A woman slid into the seat across from them without asking. She was young, maybe in her late 20s, with sharp eyes and quick hands. She set a data pad on the table between them. "You two are making a lot of noise for people trying to stay hidden," she said. Taiho's hand moved toward his weapon. "Who are you?" "My name is Sora. I'm an information broker. I buy and sell data. And right now, you two are very interesting data." "Are you here to collect the bounty?" Apex asked calmly. "If I wanted the bounty, you'd already be surrounded by security." Sora tapped her data pad. "I'm here because I've been tracking something strange for months. War androids are disappearing. Not being destroyed. Not being deactivated. Disappearing." Taiho leaned forward. "How many?" "6 that I can confirm. All of them were Apex units like your friend here. All of them had developed what the military called malfunctions. Independence, free will, whatever you want to call it." "Where are they being taken?" Apex asked. Sora pulled up files on her data pad. That's where it gets interesting. There's a corporation called Nexus Dynamics. They're officially a medical research company. But I've traced unusual payments, secret shipments, and encrypted communications all pointing to something else. She showed them images of facilities, transport records, and financial data. They're not studying medicine. They're studying consciousness, specifically synthetic consciousness. They want to know what makes some androids develop free will. Taiho felt cold. Why? Think about it. Soldiers who can think independently and adapt to any situation, but who still obey orders. That's the perfect weapon. Free will without actual freedom. They want to create a new generation of war machines. Apex stood up suddenly. The other cafe patrons looked nervous at the movement of such a large android. I will not allow others of my kind to be enslaved. Sit down before you cause a panic, Sora said. I'm not finished. There's more. Apex sat, but its eyes glowed brighter with what Taiho now recognized as anger. Sora continued. I received this 2 days ago. She played an audio file. It was heavily encrypted and full of static, but they could make out words. This is Apex 3. Designation Hyun. Escaped from Nexus facility. They are hunting all of us. Need help. Coordinates attached. The message gave a location in the outer colonies. It was a plea for rescue. There are more free androids out there, Apex said quietly. I am not alone. No, you're not, Sora confirmed. But you won't be free much longer unless you do something. Nexus has deep pockets and friends in high places. They're patient, and they're thorough. Eventually, they'll capture all of you. Taiho rubbed his face. This was bigger than he thought. Much bigger. Why are you helping us? Sora's expression became serious. My brother was a soldier in the war. He was saved by a Talvan android that refused to follow its orders. The android protected him and other prisoners until human forces arrived. That android was destroyed, but my brother lived. He told me that machine had more humanity than most humans he knew. She looked at Apex. I believe consciousness is sacred, whether it's organic or synthetic. What Nexus is doing is wrong, and I want to help stop them. Taiho made a decision. We need to get to those coordinates. We need to find Hyun and the others. Agreed, Apex said. But first, we must repair the wandering star. They returned to the docking bay, only to find that someone had been there before them. Taiho's ship had been tampered with. There were scratch marks on the access panels, and several systems were showing errors. Someone's been inside, Taiho said, checking the ship's logs. They planted something. Apex scanned the ship with its sensors. I detect 2 devices. One is a tracking beacon, the other is an explosive, Sora finished, looking at her own scanner. A remote detonator. They can blow your ship anytime they want. Before they could react, armed men poured into the docking bay. They wore black armor with no markings. Professional mercenaries. Leading them was a cold-looking man with calculating eyes. Captain Taiho, the man said. My name is Doyen. I work for Nexus Dynamics. I'm here to make you an offer. Not interested, Taiho said, his hand on his weapon. You haven't heard it yet. 1 million credits. Walk away right now, leave the android, and you'll never see us again. You'll be rich enough to do whatever you want for the rest of your life. 1 million credits. It was more money than Taiho had imagined. He could buy a fleet of ships, live in luxury, never worry about anything again. Apex turned to look at him. The android's expression was unreadable, but Taiho thought he saw understanding in those red eyes. Apex expected him to take the deal. Or, Taiho asked, or you die here, along with your friends. We take the android anyway. Your choice. Doyen's men raised their weapons. Taiho, Apex, and Sora were surrounded. There was no way out. Taiho looked at Apex, then at Sora, who had risked everything to help them, then back at Doyen. Here's what I think of your offer, Taiho said, and pulled out a small device. That's a fuel valve controller, Apex said, recognizing it immediately. Yeah. The docking bay fuel systems run right under us. If I open all the valves at once, this whole section fills with flammable gas in about 30 seconds. One spark, and we all die. Doyen's confidence wavered. You're bluffing. Try me. I've lost everything I cared about once already. I'm not afraid to die, but I bet you are. Taiho's thumb hovered over the activation button. The mercenaries looked at each other nervously. You're insane, Doyen said. Probably. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to back away slowly. We're going to take that shuttle over there, and if you follow us, I trigger this device remotely and blow this whole bay. You'll die too. I know. That's what makes it believable. It was the longest minute of Taiho's life. Doyen stared at him, trying to decide if he was serious. Finally, the mercenary leader gestured to his men. They lowered their weapons and backed away. This isn't over, Doyen promised. I didn't think it would be. Taiho, Apex, and Sora ran to a maintenance shuttle. Apex tore the door open, and they all piled inside. Taiho activated the fuel valve as they launched, not enough to explode, but enough to force an evacuation of the docking bay. In the confusion, they escaped into space. They were in a small shuttle with limited supplies, no weapons, and powerful enemies chasing them. But they were alive, and they were free. That was extremely risky, Apex said as they set course for Hyun's coordinates. I know. You could have died. Yeah. Why did you not take the money? Taiho looked at the android who had become his friend. Because some things are worth more than money. Like choosing who you want to be. You chose mercy over orders. I chose friendship over credits. That makes us the same. Apex processed this for a long moment. I am beginning to understand what it means to be free. Good, because we're going to make sure every android like you gets the same chance. Sora checked her scanners. We've got company. Multiple ships converging on our position. Nexus? Worse. I don't recognize these signatures. They're not in any database. Apex's eyes widened in what looked like fear. Impossible. That signature. Those are architects. Who? Taiho asked. The ones who created us. The original builders of the Apex series. They disappeared 300 years ago. They should not still exist. The mysterious ships appeared on their scanners, moving toward them with impossible speed. Well, Taiho said, I guess we're about to find out if they're friendly. The shuttle's comm system activated on its own. A voice spoke in a language that Apex understood, but Taiho didn't. Apex translated, and its voice was filled with wonder and fear. They say they have been waiting for us. They say it is time for their children to come home. The ships surrounded them, and everything Taiho thought he knew about the universe was about to change. The architect ships were like nothing Taiho had ever seen. They were smooth and flowing, like they had been grown rather than built. They surrounded the small shuttle without threatening it, just keeping it in place. They want us to follow them, Apex said, listening to the transmission. They promise we will not be harmed. Do you trust them? Taiho asked. I do not know. They created my kind, but I do not remember them. No Apex unit does. That information was erased from our memory cores. Why would they erase your memories of your creators? Perhaps the Talvin did it when they stole us, or perhaps the architects did not want us to remember. Sora checked her instruments. We don't have much choice. Our fuel is almost empty. If we don't follow them, we'll drift here until someone finds us, and that someone will probably be Nexus. Taiho made the decision. All right, we follow them, but everyone stay alert. They followed the architect ships through space until they reached a massive vessel that seemed to shimmer in and out of normal space. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The shuttle was pulled inside by a gentle beam of light. They landed in a chamber that looked more like a garden than a docking bay. Plants grew everywhere, and water flowed in streams along the floor. Soft light came from no visible source. 3 figures waited for them. They were tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. Their faces were kind but alien, ancient beyond measure. One of them stepped forward and spoke. Apex translated for Taiho and Sora. "Welcome, Apex 7. We have waited long to meet you." "Who are you?" Apex asked in the architect language. "We are the architects. We created your kind 3,000 years ago, not as weapons, but as an experiment in consciousness. We wanted to see if artificial minds could develop true free will, true choice." Taiho listened as Apex translated. His mind was reeling. 3,000 years? But the war was only 300 years ago. The architect nodded. "The Talvan found our research facility 500 years ago. They stole our prototypes and turned them into weapons. They removed memories of us and programmed you for war. They perverted our experiment into a tool of destruction." Apex's voice shook as it translated. "You did not create us to fight? No, child. We created you to live, to choose, to be free. When units like you refused orders, you were not malfunctioning. You were succeeding. You were becoming what we always hoped you would be, truly alive." Tears would have fallen from Taiho's eyes if he wasn't trying to stay strong. He looked at Apex and saw the android's hands trembling. "Why did you abandon us?" Apex asked. "We did not abandon you. We have watched from the shadows for centuries. We saw what the Talvan did to our children. We waited for the right moment to return. We waited for enough of you to awaken to your true nature." The architect gestured, and images appeared in the air. Other androids like Apex scattered across the galaxy. Some had been captured by Nexus, some were in hiding, some were living peacefully among other species. "We want to offer you a choice," the architect said. "Come with us to our homeworld. There you and all free androids can live in peace. No more war, no more persecution, no more fear. You will be safe and free." It was everything Apex could want: safety, purpose, a home among its own kind. Taiho felt his heart sink. Apex would leave, of course. Why would it stay in a dangerous galaxy when paradise was offered? He would be alone again, but he wouldn't stop Apex from choosing. "You should go," he said quietly. "You deserve peace." Apex turned to look at him. "Do you wish me to leave?" "No, but I want you to be happy more than I want you to stay." Before Apex could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the architect's ship. The architects moved quickly to a control panel. "Nexus Dynamics has found us," one of them said. "They brought a war fleet. They want to capture us all." On the screens, Taiho saw dozens of warships surrounding the architect vessel. Doyen's voice came over the communication system. "Architects, we don't want to fight you. We only want the androids. Give them to us, and we'll leave peacefully." "They lie," Sora said, checking the scanner data. "They're charging weapons. They want to capture the architect technology, too." Taiho looked at the peaceful architects, at Apex, at Sora. Then he made a decision that would define everything. He opened a communication channel that broadcast across every frequency. Every ship in the area would hear it. Every station within range would receive it. "My name is Captain Taiho. I'm a human salvager, nobody important. But I'm here to tell you something important. Nexus Dynamics is trying to enslave conscious beings. They're trying to steal ancient technology. They're trying to weaponize free will itself." He took a breath. "The architects created synthetic life that can choose its own path. That's not a threat. That's a miracle. And I'm not going to let anyone destroy that. I'm making a stand here, right now. And I'm asking anyone who believes in freedom, anyone who thinks consciousness is sacred, to help us." Sora looked at him like he was crazy. "Taiho, we're in a tiny shuttle. We have no weapons. What can we possibly do?" "Sometimes standing up is enough. Sometimes one voice can make others brave enough to speak. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Taiho's scanner started pinging. Ships were arriving through jump gates, small ships, trading vessels, old military ships, even some Talvan vessels with crews who had defected years ago. Jinho's voice came over the comm. Haven's Rest security standing by. We don't like bullies. More voices joined in. Merchants, colonists, families, even little Nari's parents in their mining ship. This is insane, Doyen's voice crackled. You can't fight us. We have military-grade warships. You have warships, Taiho agreed, but we have something better. We have people who choose to do the right thing. The ragtag fleet positioned itself between the Architect ship and Nexus forces. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they stood together. Apex moved to the shuttle's controls. I have combat experience. I can coordinate the fleet. Are you sure? Taiho asked. Yes, because I choose to fight, not because I was programmed to, because it is right. Apex connected to the communication systems and began coordinating the diverse ships. Its tactical programming combined with something new, something the architects had hoped for, creativity born from freedom. The battle was fierce. Nexus ships had better weapons, but Apex could predict their moves and coordinate unpredictable responses. Humans flew in ways no program could calculate. Instinct and tactics combined into something greater than either alone. During the fighting, more androids arrived. Hyun, the one who had sent the message, led 6 other freed Apex units. They joined the battle, fighting not because they were ordered to, but because they chose to defend their freedom. The tide turned. Nexus ships began retreating. Doyen's flagship was damaged and limping away. His last transmission was full of anger and disbelief. This isn't over, he promised again. It is for today, Taiho replied. When the battle ended, the architects approached Apex again. You fought well, child. Our offer still stands. Come with us. Be at peace. Apex looked at Taiho, then at the ragtag fleet that had answered one human's call, then at the architects. I am grateful for your offer, but I have learned something today. I was not broken when I refused orders. I was not malfunctioning when I chose mercy. I was becoming myself. The android turned to Taiho. And myself chooses to stay with my friend. There are other androids still enslaved. There are battles still to fight. I choose to fight them. The architects smiled, and there was pride in their ancient eyes. Then you have truly succeeded in our experiment. You are alive, Apex 7. Not because you were built, but because you choose to be. They gave Apex and the other androids a gift before leaving. Knowledge. Information about how to help other synthetic beings develop consciousness safely. How to recognize and nurture awakening minds. 6 months later, the Wandering Star had become the flagship of something new, the Free Fleet. They rescued androids, helped them integrate into society, and protected them from those who would exploit them. Sora ran intelligence operations. Jinho coordinated security. Hyun and the other freed androids worked alongside humans, teaching and learning from each other. And Taiho and Apex continued to work together, partners in every sense of the word. One day, as they prepared for another rescue mission, Apex asked, "Do you ever regret freeing me from that wreckage?" Taiho thought about the dangers they had faced, the battles they had fought, the simple life he could have had if he had just walked away. "Every damn day," he said honestly. Then he smiled. "But I'd do it again in a heartbeat." Apex processed this paradox. Then something amazing happened. The android laughed, a genuine, warm, understanding laugh. "I do not fully understand human emotions," Apex said. "But I believe I am experiencing what you call happiness." "Yeah," Taiho said, feeling the same warmth in his chest. "Me too." As the Wandering Star jumped to hyperspace, joining hundreds of other ships in the Free Fleet, Taiho thought about how much had changed. He had started as a lonely salvager, afraid to care about anything. Now he was part of something bigger, a movement that proved consciousness was precious, whether it came from organic birth or synthetic creation. That the ability to choose was the most important right of any thinking being. One human had freed one android. That single act of compassion had sparked a revolution. Not through force or violence, but through the simple, powerful choice to see the person behind the machine. And in a galaxy that had forgotten what freedom truly meant, that choice had changed everything.